I love the power of makeup. Not only its power to enhance the things that we love, but also to conceal, correct, and disguise the things that we don't love so much. And in today's video, we're gonna be dealing with those last two topics, the correct and disguise, because we're gonna be talking about reshaping and straightening out the nose. Now, before we get too far into this, I am by no means saying that we need to be perfect or to try and look perfect. But for some of us, myself included, there are certain things that really make us a little bit self-conscious. And so by using the power of makeup, it can help just give us a little boost of self-confidence as we go about our days. So today's video, we're going to be talking about one of my personal things that drives me nuts, that makes me a little self-conscious, and that is my crooked nose. And as I've gotten older, it's gotten a little fuller at the end. So you might be looking at my nose thinking, well, is it really crooked? Is it not? Let me use the handle of this brush. I'm going to put it between my brows. And if I lay it down kind of to match the center of my lip, you will see a lot more nose on this side than there is on this side. And that is because my nose slants to the left. And as most of us probably have experienced, when there is a flaw that other people can see, somebody along the way likes to point it out to us. And ironically, it was my younger brother when I was in elementary school. I love my brothers, both of them, but you know, kids just say what they see. And my younger brother was like, "Shirley, your nose is crooked." And I was like, "It is?" So from then on, I was very aware, and I don't know that it was due to an injury or anything, but it's just one of those unique things about my face. So let's get to work, and I'm going to show you how I like to slim and reshape, redirect my crooked nose. So I have not powdered my face. I'm almost done with my makeup, but I have not powdered it. So we are still in the cream formula stage. So I'm going to show you how I do it with cream contour, but then I'll also show you some powder techniques that you can do as well in case you prefer one formula over the other. So today I'm going to use the Too Faced, this is their sculpting stick, and I have the shade Chocolate Mousse. So I chose this one because it is a little more on the contour tone. Now, if you have the Dalton Serum Bronzer, I can still use this to contour my nose and my cheeks, but I'm going to show you more of a traditional contour shade. Now, you do want continuity across your face. So whatever you are using to sculpt your cheeks, your forehead, you also want to use that same shade on your nose to contour. Now I'm going to go in with the Alter Ego 203 brush. This is a brand new brush that ironically is very similar to the BK Beauty A501 brush. So if you have this brush, it's very similar. What I love about this brush is it is pinched, but slightly fluffy. So because we're going to do a contour that looks good in real life and not just for film, that's a very important key. We're going to want to make sure that after we place the color, we can blend it out in such a way that it looks like it just blends naturally into our foundation. So traditionally, if you want to just slim your nose, you're going to just want to place your contour down each side of the nose in more of a slimming fashion, and you go straight down. That's great if you have a straight nose, but since I don't, we have to do a few other techniques to make this work. Now you could just go straight on with your bronzing stick, contour stick, and put it on that way. But because I have to do this correction of the direction, I feel like I need a little more control over exactly where it goes. So I'm gonna go from my brush. Since my nose slims this way, we need to make it shadow and look like it comes this direction. So I'm actually going to start on this side, and I'm going to start not quite in the inner corner, not quite to my brow. And what I'm going to do is pull this contour up. So I'm not following the direction that my nose is going. I'm going to pull the contour up into the center of my nose. Okay. Then on this side, and don't worry, we're not done, but this side, I'm going to go the opposite. So instead of pulling this towards the center, I am actually going to pull this direction, so to my right. All right, so obviously this is in a very concentrated manner. We're not gonna leave it this way, but you can see the direction that we're going. All right, now I do have this larger area on the tip of my nose. Personally, I just run into issues when I bring my contour all the way down to the edge of my nose and do the kind of, you know, tip blending here to shorten the nose. That just always, for some reason, it makes my nose look like it's dirty and almost accentuates it. So instead of that, I'm going to go backwards and just lightly feather this out. And what I'm gonna do now is almost like the center, the part where your glasses would sit, which is about here. We're going to just really lightly feather some color there. Now, I'm going to clean off my brush really well on a tissue and now go in and feather that contour down. And now bring a little bit of this shadowing into the crease of my eye rather than up to my eyebrow. I feel like old school contouring of nose was to bring your contour right up to the edge of your brow and down. But if you have 11s like I do in between your brows, I feel like that accentuates them. So instead, I'm going to just really, really lightly bring some of that color into the crease of the eye. And you can play with this, you can add a little bit more, but go in with a small amount. And because I am instructing and going really slow, it's taking more time. But on a daily basis, this really just takes me about 2 minutes or less. So just so you know. Now on this side, I'm going to, again, feather that down. And you can see I am not blending the top edge. Okay, we're gonna leave that a little stronger pigment for now, but we're going to blend the bottom edge into our foundation and then into the crease of the eye. Now, some of you may be saying, Shirley, I have a bump in my nose. And typically a bump in the nose is maybe more around the center. If you do, just contour on either side of that bump. Don't actually contour over that bump. That is something that will kind of highlight, accentuate that if you're not careful. So try just going on either side of that bump and doing what I'm doing here. All right. So now that we are pretty well done, I'm going to just really, really lightly feather kind of the end of that contour so that it pretty much almost blends into nothing. And then you can just pat the top edge of the nose. And again, we're just lightly softening that. And then you can turn your head, and if there's anything that looks unblended, just blend it down into your foundation. I'll just go back and add a tiny little bit more here. Now, since I am going to also show you powder, I'm going to make sure I don't add too much cream contour color, but you can keep adding until you get the depth that you want. And then I'm going to do one last little trick. Do you see I just drew this line towards the top of my nose at an angle? And then I'll just blend that out. All right, so right now it's still looking a little visible. So I'm going to take my foundation sponge or your brush, whatever you used. I'm gonna just lightly tap over a few areas towards the tip of the nose, because again, that is where I feel like it's going to be the most visible. If you've done something crazy Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and powder my face, and then I will show you a few tips with powder contour. Okay, now we are fully powdered, and you can see, I think you can still see the contour on the nose. It's looking straighter. But let me show you how you can either further enhance that cream contour, or if you just want to use powder, you can use powder. Now, there are two contouring palettes that I think are amazing. One is the KVD Shade and Light palette. I just repurchased this. I had this years ago when it first came out, but this has 3 dark contour shades and then 3 highlight shades. These are all matte. My other one that I've actually, this is my second one. I've already hit pan, and I do own a backup already. This is the Lorac Pro Contour Palette. I've loved this. I think it's one of the best. It has 5 that are matte. This one has shimmer. Now, I rarely use this one. It's pretty brightening. It's a fully usable one, but I have so many other shimmery highlights. What I love about both of these palettes, but this one in particular, is it's truly cool toned contour shades, but nothing too gray. So you can really get a proper shadow on the face, or you can use these cream highlighter shades, which are very impactful as well. So if you get a little out of control with your contour, you can always kind of correct things with these. Now for powder contour, you could definitely use a similar type brush like this one, or the Nikki LaRose N16 from BK Beauty. This is also kind of a very helpful brush. I love it for cream or powder. Or I've been experimenting, having fun with this shape of brush, and I bought a pair of these off Amazon, I think for around $5. So just kind of a fun little fan brush that really can help you kind of get a nice, precise line on your nose. So I love to use generally, obviously, the medium shade in here, but sometimes I'll mix in the light one. But what you would do here is similar as what we did with the cream, but I'm just going to enhance a little bit, and I'm going to bring the powder into the crease of the eye just a little bit more. So I tend to use powder into the crease of the eye a little bit more than I do cream, but you can experiment with both and see which you prefer. So I'm going to start here on this eye. You can see this brush, the shape of it just fits really nicely. It does the precise work in following kind of more of a straight line. It's a little easier to do. Now, with this brush, you can then easily just feather down that contour shade. And there you go. Now, with the powder, I'm going to show you another option. If you would like to kind of bring your contour all the way down the tip of your nose, you can do that and shorten the nose. And then what I usually like to do after I've gotten it done is then I'll go in with a little bit of the cream shade. Now you can just do this with your finger. Sometimes I do that when I'm in a big hurry. I've done that for sure. Or you could take the other brush in the set or a powder puff, whatever you wish. And I just like to, for me, because I have yellow undertones, go in with this shade. And I just like to soften the edge of that contour down the center of the nose. Now, the thing that you do not want to do if you are trying to shorten your nose is you do not want to highlight the tip of the nose. So many people do this and it looks great on them, but if you are conscious, self-conscious about your nose shape, you definitely do not want to bring attention to the tip of the nose. Likewise, if you have a large bump on the center of your nose, you're not going to want to highlight there. However, if you don't, then you can use a little bit of highlight right on the center, kind of up towards the top of the nose to help draw your eye up further rather than down to the center of the nose, if that makes sense. So I'm highlighting, but I am stopping with the highlight before I get to the tip of the nose. And then just go back with your powder puff for your face or your under the eye powder puff and just blend everything in. And then one little last thing that I like to do is take my powder bronzer brush, or you can do it also with your cream bronzer brush, and just lightly go over the center and blend those colors, blend over the bridge of the nose down. And then sometimes your finger is the best tool just to lightly finish blending. You can go into the palette here and add a little extra blend down, and there you go. All right, so I fixed my hair. I'm gonna pop up on the screen kind of the before and after, and hopefully you can see a subtle difference. And the last tip is actually non-makeup related, and that is the direction that I part my hair. So typically, this is why I part my hair on the left going over to the right, because that further draws the eye over this direction and kind of makes the nose look like that it might actually be a little straighter than it is. I hope that you enjoyed this, that it was helpful for you. Check the description box down below for links and a list of everything that I used today, including the brushes, the tools. I will also leave a couple of other similar types of videos down below in case you are new or just struggling with certain aspects of your makeup application. I also will list what's on my nails, what's on my lips, where my top is from, all of that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.